But I kind of want to give you this. This is our idea of what the building's going to look like. Not phase one. We're out to bid right now for phase one. You've probably seen the sign. It was quite a hassle, but it's lit now. And there's actually a digital reader board going. This is what it'll look like at the end of phase 3 to phase 4. This is about between $7 and $8 million investment that the college will be doing there over the next, what we're planning on about the next 3 to 4 years. Phase 1 is a $1.2 million, and we'll talk about the details of that. That's underway right now. We hope to open bids next week. We actually had we had 9 companies come in and review it and said they're submitting bids. So a good pool of contractors, and we're very excited to get that first process going. Second process, the second phase, is our partnership with the high school that we're hoping to move forward and actually have it completed by the end of summer. So phase 1 and phase 2 is both supposed to be completed by the end of summer if we can get that approved by the school board. And then phase 3 is a funding package that we have we have submitted at 2 different funding arms. One is part of the bond measure that your local representative, Pat Hennigan, and Jackie Hayes are working very hard to get, and they said the bond's still not dead. And we've got $3.5 million requested in there for this building for phase 3. Also, part of that phase 3 is we didn't want to just count on that, so we actually are in the middle and should have submitted by the end of this month a EDA grant to fund phase 3. If the state comes through with phase 3, then we'll go ahead and expand into phase 4 and do phase 4 as part of phase 3, so it'll be one big project that'll be 2 phases put together, which would be a total of about $5 million between those 2 requests. So that's how we're trying to phase this in. We're doing it on a very fast track, and I'm working on phase 4 and 5 now. So that's kind of where we're at on moving this forward. Phase 1 is complete. As far as I'm concerned, it's off my plate. It's out to bid. It's going to happen. The high school, Mark's been working with the high school. That was coming out. We're going to explain what that is, explain the impact to this location, and how it will impact the community. And we are not taking any space away from training industry in this space. This is all space that we had not identified, even in phase 3 and phase 4, as space that we would use. And we're utilizing resources that are already in the building. In other words, it reduces the cost both for the school district and us to put that in there. An example, the culinary program would be where the old the deli was. So the hoods are already there, the gas is already there, the water's already there. It's just adapting it to fit their equipment. So those are the kind of things that we're trying to do to save costs for both entities and expand the offerings for college level course in our community. So Mark, you want to take it? Sure. Thank you. I'll play it.
Okay, the last time I was here with you, I began a conversation with you about our Young Scholars Program and how we were working with Mulberry County Schools to identify 40 students to take their first college class at no cost to the student through a grant through the Love Foundation. It was an art class and a computer class. Each of those classes are what I consider level 1 classes, your entry level, your freshman class that you all took when you were in college. And these classes are now being taken by 9th and 10th graders at Mulberry County High School. We have 39 students in the program take these classes, and we had a 97% pass rate. So 97% of these students now have an official college transcript. This is very exciting because, as I explained to you the last time, our service area from Pageville, South Carolina to Lakeview and all points in between, about 90% of our students come from homes with little to no college background. So we as a college decided to help our students begin the process to learn how to go to school, to fill out applications, and some of you got to do that before, fill out FAFSA forms, to even learn how to drop a class. The importance of learning how to do that is really a skill. To learn how to go to your professor and talk about getting assistance and those kinds of things. And we're very excited about the progress that we've made. Now, the next step that we have started is in January, starting this semester coming up, 40 more students have been identified that will take their first college classes. So not only are those students that originally took, they're just going to switch classes. Our students move to computer moves to art, so they'll get the second. We've got 40 more students taking a computer class, second one there, and then an engineering class at the school. So you'll have a total of 80 students now at Marlboro County High School taking their first or second college class at no cost to the students. Folks, this is a game changer for these students. The more classes that the students take at the college level, their better chance of graduating high school. Their better chance of moving on to a 2-year or 4-year degree, changing the lives of their families. This is a very exciting prospect for us. Also included upon this is that these students are also working with other students in the past. We've always had science classes, math classes, and English classes. So we're going from 2 years ago having 17 students totally taking the program to about 120 students now currently enrolled at Marlboro County High School taking college classes. That is very exciting. And because of the efforts at Marlboro County, Dillon County will now have their Young Scholars Program starting in January. They've got 80 students identified in January. I'll be meeting with Chesterfield County on the 18th of this week to discuss with them how they start their program in the new school year. This program is going very, very well. It's going very quickly, and we're very pleased at the progress that we're making in all 3 school areas. So now, if you look up there, 118 college courses will be taken by the time school is over. Very excited about this progress and very excited that these students have chosen to work with us and these school districts have chosen to work with us. This is brand new for this part of the world, but I believe it's very positive and I believe it's a good progress for our schools that we're working with. Okay? Dr. Wagner, the next screen. I think that's yours, sir. Okay?
Okay, update. I kind of hinted at that already. We were supposed to go out to bid January 2nd, but because of the snow, it got pushed to January 9th. The bid closes on the 22nd. Like I said, we have 9 companies that have bidded, and we're very excited that we had that much interest and moving forward with the project. We've had 2 reviews already with bidders on the project, and everything's moving forward with that. Go ahead and click it. Oops, what's our technology for? Okay, this is what the lobby's going to look like in phase 1. So when you walk in the building, this is the only cosmetic thing I'm doing. Everything else is going into the infrastructure. Air conditioning units, fire protection, seismic wall we have to put inside the building in case there's an earthquake, all that kind of stuff we're doing. Everything else, this is the only cosmetic thing we're doing because we're drilling it all into square footage. We're going to be doing about 16,000 square feet in phase 1. It's going to add 4 classrooms, a 20-bay welding shop, a small little machine shop that'll be about 6 lathes and 6 mills, and this is what the building will look like. The lobby, the classrooms. There's going to be 2 high-tech computer labs that can take everything from blueprint reading to CAD drawing, some megatronics, which is some of our electrical mechanical classes, can be done in those computer labs. So basically what that does is that replaces the downtown 2 locations into this building and expands it into CDL, truck driving, welding, and machine tool, and the beginning of advanced manufacturing, which is level 1 and level 2. Go ahead and click it. That's the building, which is this drawing. And I've got a handout, if you can hand that out. So a lot of people are concerned, say, well, if we do this and the high school moves in with this, how's that going to impact us? Well, you can see by the drawing here that everything in gray is not part of phase 1. So this is about 47,000 square feet, okay? And we're doing about 16,000 of it. So what happened then was Mark and I went over to the high school and we walked through their training center and we looked at how does that align to the college. And so what we did was these are programming that we already offer, And as you thumb through there, you'll see the high school offers some part of that certificate. And it's not being offered as college credit now. So the second question we ask the high school is, can we have all of the instructors' credentials to see if they meet college credentials? We found out that they all meet the college requirements. So if the high school has instructors already in place that's teaching programs that fit into academic pathways for the college, then why don't we mirror the two together and become a partner? So that's where the conversation started. So we started talking about doing that right where they're at. And we started looking at how can we start training these students in these areas. Then what happened was we said, there's not enough space here. There's not enough space in that area to actually do the training at the college level. There's enough there to do the high school, which in other words, there's 6 welding booths, okay? That's not enough welding booths, and they're very limited on what they can do. Over in our building, we're gonna have multi-process welders, which means we can weld MIG, TIG, arc, and flux core, all using the same welding unit. And so we have 3 position welders, where you can actually have in the booth, you can teach overhead, vertical, and horizontal welding. So, and we can also teach clear up to the 6G at the AWS level. The high school doesn't have the capacity. In order for them to have that capacity, they don't have that space. So we said, well, hey, we're doing that over at our building. Let's look at just having a welding program over there. Then we started looking at the others and we go, hey, we could probably incorporate this into our building and enhance what we do to provide more training for industry, but yet complement what we're doing too. So that was the goal when we were discussing this. So as you go through there, they offer an automotive program. Well, in phase 3, we're wanting a diesel mechanic shop. So their automotive program would feed into our diesel mechanic shop really well, because diesel engines aren't going anywhere. They're going to be around for a long time. So that's kind of where we started looking at this partnership as being an enhancement, not as a burden to the high school or a burden to the college. So these are some of the examples of the programs where they already have instructors in place, and they have some infrastructure to teach that. Go ahead and click on the next one. And so this is what the high school would look like. The blue is basically about 8,600 square feet to give them extra capacity to do this at the college level. So you're talking about the one little area down there, which would be their administrative offices and their library and that support. Then behind that, in that little square in the corner there, would actually be the allied health. We are wanting to do more in allied health here. They have a really good CNA program. As you see in our packet there, we have a health administration program which incorporates CNA with phlebotomy, with medical terminology, with coding, and in Marlboro County especially, there's a big demand for people to work in the doctor's offices and the urgent cares with those skill sets. So we see being able to put those two together and having a very capable student graduating from high school that can be placed in the allied health area. Those classes all get bonus points to get into our LVN and RN track. So students that are successful in that program, they get extra points to get preferred pickings to get into the LPN RN program. So students that want to go on and be a nurse, it benefits them to take advantage of this at the high school level. So that's what that would do. The other blue area is a temporary home for automotive there in the corner by the bathrooms. In the back would be, that's where culinary would be. And next to culinary, that's where the old deli was. Next to culinary, there's a little, used to be a seafood market that's just about the right size for a restaurant. So we could actually have a restaurant there where students could prepare food and serve it there a couple days a week for the community could come in and eat. And then next, across the entryway, which is a big garage door to bring equipment into the building, that would be the cosmetology program right there in that corner. And then as you go on into the yellow area, that's where machine tool and welding already was going to go. And across from there, you see the computer labs that will support their engineering program. So no additional cost there for us to attract that in with a lot newer computers, a lot more capability with our equipment because we have newer software. We keep that updated. We just bought 60 new site licenses for CAD, and we stay on top of that because we're required to by our certifications. And then the agriculture problem was our difficulty. Agriculture, we hadn't thought about that one. And we originally talked to the high school about leaving it at the high school, but then after we reviewed it, took them over to the place, we actually found a place where we could put a greenhouse and we could put a small shop for them to do tractor mechanics. So we would actually be able to incorporate that, and that could move over too. So we pretty much figured out how we could get the whole ATEC Center to move into the building. Very little impact to the building, but yet huge impact to the students, because now every one of those students can start taking college courses immediately when they enter into those programs. So some of the things we're doing as a college is uniforms. We're looking at uniforms. When these kids walk into the building, they'll get into a uniform that represents their program. This is a real program. This is a job. We want to instill the importance of that personal commitment you do to go to work for an employer, because employers tell us that's what they need. They need people to be punctual. They need people to have these soft skills. And so that we can start building that when they come right into the building. And the programs will be designed to have that built in as they come in. Go ahead and click. Okay, so construction and equipment. Some of the things that we've already bought for the building, I'm actually buying stuff now and it's stored. Right now, Amatrol, which is our Megatronics program, I just spent $286,000 on Amatrol equipment. This is training, advanced manufacturing. We broke the manufacturing program into 6 certificates. We have 3 certificates in electrical, 3 certificates in mechanical. And we did that because one's entry, one's medium range, and one's advanced skills. And we lined that with industry. Industry gave us input on that. They helped us identify what courses would be at each level and how we can put people right to work. The high school program will be designed to put them into that first level certificate, get them that first job, get them into the industry. And they can choose, do I want to do mechanical or do I want to do electrical? They can choose which one they want to do, and they'll understand what that means. So when they go to work for a Scheffler or a Harbor Freight, Leader Harbor Freight has Megatronics jobs. Scheffler has a Megatronics job. Paramount Bricks has these jobs. And that's what these jobs are, to place students in those work areas. Economic Development Partnership, they approved $64,000, and I'm very thankful they did that. And they brought the hydraulics trainer. So now we added the level 2 hydraulics trainer into that, because some of that donation money came from a company that actually needed that training. So we went ahead and purchased that piece of equipment. That's the expense of this equipment. That was one piece of equipment, $65,000. That's what this equipment cost. For me to do, we're now equipped to do phase 1 and phase 2, certificate 1 and 2 in Megatronics. For me to move to phase 3 of Megatronics, it's another $300,000 investment, because that's the real high-tech stuff. That's the stuff that teaches how the programming of the machines talk to the cloud. That teaches that kind of stuff that's really high-end equipment that's real expensive. Is it on the radar? Yes. I'm working on grants to buy it. Yes. Is it today? No. But it will be here because it's part of the whole continuous of that program. Some other things that we bought in the mechanical electrical engineering program and the electrical engineering program is what those support. Lincoln Welding, we partnered with Lincoln Welding. We just purchased 12 multiprocessors, 10 multiprocessors. They were $12,760, and that's to teach the 4 levels of the 4 different welding. You have welding companies in your community. We saw welding as being an opportunity in this community. There will no longer be a welding shop in Cheraw. It's getting closed, and that's what's moving over here. But then I reviewed the equipment and the welding booths. They work, but they're not very pretty, and they're not very nice. So we found a local company, and that's Douglas Machine Tool, who I gave them a design of a welding booth, and they could build those welding booths for a real reasonable price. So we're actually buying new welding booths for the building, because 1, it'll look better, and 2, they're more functional. They have a window in the booth. So you can walk through the welding booth with students actually welding, and you can look into the booth and see the student welding, and you don't need a welding mask. So you can come in and watch the students and monitor the students, and people can go through there and actually see them welding on projects, and you can walk through there and see that. So the welding booths are very adaptable for an education environment. The booths that we have in Cheraw, the older booths, didn't have that capability, so they're really hard to teach in, because you couldn't, as an instructor, watch the student teach without going into the booth and disturbing the student welding. This allows you to do that without going into the booth and disturbing the student. A lot more geared toward teaching the student, not just doing the function of welding. Another example is these welders. These welders are multi-processor. They are not the industrial welder that you would see out on an industrial shop welding up caterpillars. These are welders that are designed to do the type of welding we do to teach you to weld for Caterpillar. It's two different functions. A lot of the equipment that we had in our current welding shop was to build Caterpillars, because the people that bought the equipment were in the welding industry and they worked for those kind of companies. In the world of environment, that machine costs $5,000, $6,000 for that one machine, and it teaches one process of welding. We were able to buy 10 for less than one of those costs that teaches all 4 processes of welding, which now teaches welding. It doesn't actually do the welding function, if that makes sense. We're not going to produce Caterpillars in our shop. What we're going to do is produce people that can weld on Caterpillars and repair and build their Caterpillars. So that was the change that we're doing as an institution, is focusing on our mission, which is training the workforce. The other thing that we did was bought the welding booths, and ventilation is a serious problem in welders. The bid to do a ventilation system for this booth, and we're still working on it, is $125,000 for 18 booths. Okay, that's what the ventilation system is. Lincoln makes a portable ventilator that can go in the booth itself, and it's not as fancy, but it does ventilate the booth, and those run about $1,000 a piece. So we chose to buy those because the end goal is once we put the full ventilation system in, we can do what we call pop-up welding shops. So if you've got a local company that wants to train 10 guys on a new welding process, we can actually go there, set it up in their shop, and actually teach them to weld right there on their location with these portable welders and with these portable ventilation systems. So it allows us to be more flexible and more appropriate to the industry. Go ahead and click it. Oh, with that welding booth, we've also requested that that Marlboro Economic Development help pay for some of those booths, which is about $8,000, and Ron and I were just talking about that. So, and we're going to make that proposal to them to bring the booth in. So that's the welding. Now, the one I want to show you is, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to stress when we're here, this is what the building looks like at the end of phase 3 and 4 with the high school in, okay? This right here is a community room, which would be a room where you could host events that would hold about 100 people. It'd be set up like our one we have in Sherrod. This is the diesel shop. And we found out when we did the study on the building that we can put a metal building on the side of the building cheaper than we cut garage doors into the building. So we're actually adding on to the building an additional metal building that goes the whole length of the far side of the building for the diesel shop, and that's where the automotive shop will move into. And that moves along this side right here, okay? And then what will happen then on the back of the building where the old coolers were, this big concrete pad, we're actually in phase 3, we add a metal structure that goes from that corner all the way to the loading dock. And it'll be totally enclosed. And that metal structure holds the fabrication shop for the welding shop, and it would also hold the agriculture program for the high school and the college to get into agricultural outreach. Now, what does that mean? Well, one of the big things that the port has told us is agriculture is going to be a big piece of this port. And how agriculture, the trees, the chips, that kind of stuff, the products that we produce in this area could be a good factor in the port operations. So one of the things we've done is we've reached out to Clemson University, and we've talked to Clemson University about the possibility of us partnering in the future to do some kind of agricultural research center here. And this is our stepping stone to start those conversations, because we would have an agriculture program already tied to the high school. So the high school would have an agriculture program. They bring that to us. We enhance it by making it college level, And then we start working with the high school to partner with Clemson or another university and start looking at how agriculture impacts the community. And the agriculture program would be more than just looking at plants. It would also be looking at the repair of the equipment, the manufacturing of the equipment, all that kind of stuff. So that's another direction where the partnership between the high school and what the high school can bring to the table and what the college can bring to the table benefits the students of the community, because students that are interested in staying in that career, doing that career, now would be able to train here and not go somewhere else. And that's what we want, and that's part of the partnership that we can allow in this. So that would be right there. Your machine shop, cosmetology would stay, the lunchroom, the culinary would go. Where the automotive shop is currently temporarily located would now become the Advanced Manufacturing Support Center to support the open warehouse space that we have. And we're already gotten inquiries from companies about utilizing that space to train the workforce. They're already talking to us about loaning us equipment, setting up production lines in there to do actual operations, so high school students and even adults can take basic theory classes, learn how to do it, and then go into that space and work on an assembly line set up that's for their plant. And we've already been talking to 2 companies in the area that have showed interest in putting equipment there and stage that training for them in the future. So that's what that space will allow us to do, is leverage both the college and the high school's ability to attract adult learners and high school students into these career paths. One of the things that we found as we've gotten into this, and it's really a positive thing that's happened, and now that we're into the high schools and we're talking to these high school students, it's amazing now how many parents we're seeing show up at our door. So now the parents are coming and saying, can I take a college class? Tell me about this. My company says that they're doing this. Do you have a partnership with the company? And most of the time we do. We're rolling out a whole new training program in partnership with local companies that's going to allow us to create a seamless process between them and us to help them with their training needs. And that's going to help enhance these people to come back and get higher jobs to move up in their advancement ladder at the current company they work at. So that's the way we're doing incumbent worker training as part of this. This campus will be our main workforce training campus for these areas for our whole service area. And we've already had conversations with Chesterfield High School about busing students over here and taking some of these classes. We've even had conversations with some people in Dillon, some of the schools over there, to bus people over here for programs we're not going to offer in Dillon. We will not have a diesel mechanics program in Dillon County. We're going to have an automotive program at the high school level, but we're not going to have a college level diesel mechanics program in Dillon County. It's going to be here. There'll be a small welding shop in Dillon. There's a small welding shop in Pageland. But if you want to learn fabrication and you want to take welding beyond the original certificate of a 4G certification in arc welding or MIG welding, you will have to come to this campus and do the next piece of it at this campus. Because it's the only way I can afford to do this, because the equipment's expensive. And that's why we have to pick a center and make it a center. This is going to be the center for those kind of programs. Dillon Center is going to be focused on logistics, transportation. That's what their center is going to focus on. The Sherrall campus is going to focus on apprenticeships, machine tools, CNC. You'll be able to do some basic machine tooling here. You'll be able to do some basic CNC here. But if you want to go on and become a NIM certified person, which demands those really high pay scales, you will have to go to the Sherrall campus and finish up that program, because I can't afford to put the equipment here and there. And the same way with Pageland. Pageland's going to have a focus too. So that's how we're developing the college as a metropolitan approach to a rural community. The centers will be there, but anything offered at the beginning level will be offered at every campus. If you want to take it beyond the entry level, you would have to go to that campus where the center is to do the training. Okay? So that's kind of the concept of where we're going. We're super excited about Marlboro County. This has been my pet project since I got here, is get this thing up and going. This thing has become the model that Dillon's talking about and how to get their center improved. So we can do a logistics transportation center over there. This is even now becoming a conversation in Sherrall. How do we turn the Sherrall campus now into this center for apprenticeship, CNC, and machine tool. And if you look at the industries around each one of these campuses, we're gearing the campus to the local industry. And the beauty of this building is the size of it, we have the flexibility that if a new industry moves to town or there's a change in industry, we can make an adjustment too quickly. And that's why it's important for the high school and the college to be working together, because if we have to make the change, we have to make the change in the 7th and 8th grade. Because we have to get the students tracking that direction when they're in the 7th and 8th grade. So one of the things that we're doing right now, and we're talking to Marlboro Electric and Duke Energy, is last year we ran a beta test on a summer school for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We did it in Chiraw because we had very little money to work with, and we were phenomenal. We actually got identified as one of the best in the state for summer school. So now we went back to Duke Energy, we went back to Marlboro Electric, and we've asked now to have enough money to offer that summer school at all 4 locations. And that's what we're trying to do this summer. And not only do we want to offer it as 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, we want to run one focused on 5th and 6th graders and one focused on 7th and 8th graders. And the reason is we need those students to think about this in the 5th and 6th grade. Because that's when they need to start thinking about what their life career would be. And then in the 7th and 8th grade, we can enhance that by giving them experiences in STEM careers or in science careers or those areas in that 7th and 8th grade summer camp. And then they track right into the 9th grade, early college, high school. We get them into that 9th and 10th grade doing that early college, getting them those gen eds. And then the 10th and 11th grade, we focus in on that career or transfer degree that this campus will do. We have changed the name of the campus. It is no longer the Bennettsville Industrial Training Center. It's the Northeastern Tech Marlboro County Campus. This is a full-blown campus with academic programs operating there and full services. By the time phase 3 starts, a student will be able to go there, apply for financial aid, meet with an advisor, get services, get library, get bookstore services. Everything will be in this campus. It'll be no different than driving all the way to Chiraw. Everything that's in Chiraw will be at this campus for them to get. It won't be at the scale, but it'll be available for them to get it. They'll be able to go in and talk to an advisor. They'll go in and talk to financial aid. They'll be able to go and talk to the business office. Those services will be here if it's a campus. Because we want to enroll students in college-bound programs. And that's the goal of this campus. I know it's an aggressive goal. It's quite a bit different than what we're used to. What I've challenged my staff, this Friday, we're taking a field trip, we're loading up some buses, and we're driving to Central Carolina. Central Carolina took a Walmart and converted it into a training center.
Where is that?
Sumter. And I encourage, if you guys want to come, show up, we'll take you with us. I want you to go see what our expectations should be. Because we got to get the vision out there that we deserve. This community deserves first-class education. We're the college that has committed to provide that education. And we want to work with the communities and make that education opportunity to every citizen in this county. And what we want to do is get your expectations up to what this center should look like. What I'm laying out here is what the center should look like. But it's flexible to change as industry changes in this community, as the needs change in this community. And what we want to do is have you see the same image that we see and expect it. Hold us accountable. When we went to the Love Foundation and the high school and asked for this early college high school model, we said, we want to do this with you, and this is what we want you to grade us on. And we've exceeded their expectation. That's what we want to do for the community of Marlboro County. We want to say, this is the vision the college has done. We are putting every resource we can behind it to make it happen, and we want you to hold us accountable to make it happen. Any questions?
What happens to the high school students who do participate in your program? Do they get an associate degree when they're in high school?
It depends. Most of them will track into one of these certificate programs if they're in the career side of the college, and most all of it is geared around what we call our entry-level certificates, which is somewhere around 24 credit hours. Okay, if they choose to, and they're aggressive and they're in high school, they can actually add their gen eds onto that. We have now a degree called General Technology, where you can take any certificate we offer at our college, and you put it with 42 credit hours of gen ed, and it's guaranteed to transfer to any four-year university in the state. Okay, so they would actually could walk out with an AAS degree. The student would have to be pretty on top of it, and we would more than help them do that, because we'd love to have them walk across stage and hand them the certificate when they get their high school diploma. But we do have students that can do that. We have students in this community that's gotten close, but this will be able to accelerate that and make that happen. We have designed now transfer certificates that can consist of 19 hours. It's 100% guaranteed to transfer to any four-year college in the state of South Carolina. We have a 39 credit hour general education certificate that's guaranteed to transfer to all the public universities in the state. And we have an AS and an AA degree that's now got 60 hours identified that will transfer to all of the universities, but you have to select the university before you finish the last 20 credit hours. You have to tell us where you're going to go so we can tailor it to that university. And that's how higher education works. So the answer is yes, they can, but the fallback is that at the minimum level, they should graduate with multiple college credit and be able to get a workforce certificate by the time they graduate from high school. To give you an idea, by this time next year, if we roll this program out and we can start date in August, by next Christmas, I think the number was 39 or 46% of the students at Marlboro High School will have a college credit on their transcript if we keep on the pace that we are right now, rolling this program into the high school. That's phenomenal in a school district that less than 2 years ago had 17 students taking college credit. So that's a tremendous, and my hat's off to the administration at the high school that's really helped us move that along, because it's really helped a lot on getting more students college bound. And like I said, the big thing that we see is we're seeing parents now walk in the door and ask to enroll, which now that's generation changes. And that's what we need in this community, to provide a workforce for companies moving here. And Ron can tell you all about that need. and we're working very closely to try to hit that need so we can attract first-class companies here that want to hire local people. Our goal is to put local people to work.
What's the maximum number of students you can have in this facility?
You know, that's a good thing. We haven't actually ran that number, but with the high school piece and the piece that we already in phase one doing, we can handle about 650 students per semester. So, and that's at any given time. Students don't come all at the same time. So you could probably double that number if it was cycled correctly with the right scheduling. So the space here is here. This is our biggest building that the college will own. This building. Yes, we've entered into a partnership with the county. The back building that was part of the library has already been turned over to the library, and the county is actually doing some outreach with their rural library program. They're doing some community rooms there, and we're already working with the county, and they've already got that part of the building. Once we vacate the front building, which will be the part of phase one, then that building will go over to the county, and Ron can talk about the plans they have with that building, but he's got a whole bunch of plans for what that building will be utilized to enhance the community's education and what they do in the community through services. So totally used.
Can you foresee in the future, would there be any construction programs?
Yes. We actually have an NCCER program running right now in Dillon, and we did it as an experiment. It's super popular. We got heavy equipment running over there. We got construction where they learn basic construction, framing, and that kind of stuff, and we are wanting to expand that. And that is something we've looked at in this building. We need some land around it, so anybody who'd like to donate, well, our foundation's taking donations to purchase more land. So we need more land to be able to pull that off. But construction technology is a huge need, We're playing with it over in Dillon because of the growth going on over there. We've dabbled in it. We've got, as a matter of fact, you probably saw on the slide, residential wiring is one we want to offer in the building. We do have the heavy equipment going. We do have through the NCCR program that we're doing over in Dillon now, we have the equipment purchased to do basic framing, safety classes in the construction field. We're working on a partnership right now with DOT to do some DOT training to put people to work through the Department of Transportation, to work on job sites that the Department of Transportation is involved with. So we're hoping that materializes over the next 60 days, and we'll actually be able to offer those classes. So we're working on multiple fronts to bring more opportunities to the community. The construction, I'd love to bring that one. I think that's a good program.
What's your phase 1 construction schedule?
Phase 1's going on right now. It'll be completed by August. Our goal is that if the high school can move quickly on this and everything can be done, then whoever wins phase 1 will have the option to just go in and do the high school conversion too. And if that happens, that'll be an addendum to what we've already got submitted, and we can just move forward with that piece too. If that happens, then that should be, the earmark for that would be completed by August, and the high school could move in, and we could offer high school classes starting in the fall in these career technical areas. And that's if we move quickly on it. And the school board so far has been moving pretty quickly on it. So we're hoping to have a decision made by the middle of February, and then our construction is supposed to end 121 days from the 22nd. So we should be done with phase 1 somewhere around the end of May, and then we'll be moving in, and hopefully by that time we're already working on the high school piece. Phase 3 would be after the high school. That is the submission for the money is, I have a meeting tomorrow with the legislators, and we'll know something by that, probably April-ish. And then the EDA money gets submitted at the end of this month for the EDA grant. So we have 2 proposals going out this month to fund phase 3. And so we're hoping that we'll go through the winter, stabilize what we're doing with the high schools, and then next summer award the contract for stage 3 and stage 4, which will bring the additions to the outside of the building, the motif on the outside change, bring the diesel program in, and those programs into that piece. So that's kind of how we're trying to phase this. We want a little breathing room there if we actually bring the high school in to make sure we get that up and running correctly before we move into the next phase. So we're trying to buy next winter as our time to work out all those bugs and make that work. Funding, that's always a question. For the high schools to join this program and to do that, the high schools actually get additional dollars from the state for every student that takes college credit for us. So if we bring that program in, if we bring that program under the college with what we're already doing, the high school would receive about $90,000 additional dollars per year to support the program. On top of that, they would be in our facilities, so they wouldn't be paying electricity, they wouldn't be paying heating and all that, which would save them money, which we could also drill in. They also get Carl Perkins like we do, and that's the things we're trying to work out, is what will be the investment back into the programs to keep the equipment current, to keep the equipment cutting edge. If you're not changing out your equipment about every 5 years, you're running out of, your technology's falling behind. So we got to get on that kind of a cycle. And that's one of the big investments we're doing at the college right now, is a lot of our equipment's 20 years old, and we're changing out the oldest equipment first. And that's what we're trying to do. Just this year alone, we've spent almost $1 million on equipment at the college. Between CNC equipment, welding equipment, booths, lathes, mills, Megatronics equipment. We're pushing close to $1 million in expenditures for new equipment that we're purchasing. Any other questions? We're excited to be here, and we're going to be doing more. And if you hear any rumors, send them our way so we can end them. And if you're hearing a lot of rumors, we want to know so we can get the word out of what's going on. Well, thank you very much for letting me speak.
Exciting time for Northeastern Tech, for the community, and for our county as a whole. Dr. Wagner, Dr. Bunce, thank you for your